It's probably
Well, I like it. You don't have to be a whole hour.
it ain't gonna be. We ain't got time for an hour. We got 40 minutes tops.
We just go until we can't go no more.
That's what she said.
Whoa.
Say it again.
It again?
Good 7 minutes for me. I'm out.
And we lie.
Oh, yeah? You decided?
Why not?
Welcome to Jamaica, man.
We talking about where we at? No, I guess so.
Just a brief, and we got
back.
let's get into it.
Yours truly, DJ Nichols.
Rolling with Reese here.
And yours truly, Fleet is in the house.
And we are.
Wait a minute, Fleet. What house you at?
I am in Promise's house in lovely Ocho, Rios, Jamaica.
Nice.
Why are you doing that? Why don't you just
I don't know. Let's have it.
well, move your chair up or something?
Come on, host.
I want the breeze.
You want the what?
Where's the introduction?
We are the Grandpops of hip hop. We are the Grandpops of hip
Look at
hop.
Will. That's the fuck
The
they
Grandpops.
talking about.
What's up, good people? What's up?
Actually, we on vacation.
It's been a long time.
I shouldn't have left you. We on vacation. We
Yes,
on vacation.
yes, sir.
Vacation is in Ocho. We said we in Ocho Rios.
Ocho Rios, Jamaica.
1 week in a lovely villa. Actually,
Two
two
villas.
villas.
Side by side. 16 people.
But it's only, it's two houses, but this is one villa, right? Because both of these houses are called Promises.
Technically, it's two villas. So if that one burned down, that one still stays. So technically, it's two separate villas.
The name,
Yes. Promises.
both houses,
Yes.
3 and 4.
one property.
Yes.
One property.
Yes. How about when we first came in? There was other villas.
They're houses, they weren't villas.
Y'all can see the background, but like behind us though.
Yeah.
It's a dope background.
Yeah, looking at it for 3 days.
And got 4 more. All right, what's the topic, fellas?
Go ahead, Fleet. What you say again?
So, topic of discussion today is you can ask yourselves the same question. We're going to talk about us specifically, but where do we think our lives would be, or what type of people do we feel we would be if we did not have hip hop in our lives? If hip hop didn't exist, if it didn't take off like it did, if it became a fad to stay a couple of years and disappeared, and we didn't have the hip hop music, the culture, and everything that goes along with that, how do we think we would be without it?
Drastic change. My life, anyway. I mean, if you look at,
Would it?
I think it would. And the reason I'm saying that, because even though I love all types of music, I'm probably listening to hip hop 90% of the time. The concerts I go to, probably
So what did you grow up
97%.
on? What did you grow up on?
I grew up on jazz from my parents playing the albums in the house. I also grew up on
You said
R&B,
jazz?
Jazz, yeah.
All right.
And funk.
All
Part
right.
of it, Funkadelic, Bootsy Collins, which that's kind of phased out.
So when the 70s came around, if there was no hip hop, when the 70s came around and you was in the funk, Bootsy, jazz, don't you think you would have continued to venture down that path eventually? Disco. So when you say hip hop, we're not talking about any other genre except hip hop, right?
Right, because what I'm saying is just like you both had said just a minute ago in your talking, disco was a era of music, gave us great music, but it wasn't a long-lasting time period. Funk also was not as long as hip hop. Hip hop's been around 50 years this year. Disco didn't last that long. Funk didn't last that long.
Right.
Jazz is an ever-going situation because of how it grew in the roots of jazz. So that's been around for a long time. Hip hop,
But it's changed drastically.
It has.
You got
it has.
the
But it still exists.
yes.
So you look at that, and even though we aren't starting type of music, that punk rock stuff was in and out. It's not as popular with that crowd as it was before either. But hip hop has become a mainstay and a way of life that many people have adopted, many people have embraced, and because of that, I also feel that hip hop was part of a integration among people because it was something that everyone could relate to or learn from or listen to, whatever the reasons were. But it brought people together the way certain music does. But many types of music have faded out. Hip hop is still here. So I listened to disco, listened to funk, I listened to all that stuff.
The cooler.
But when I look back at it, disco I listened to, but it wasn't influential in my life.
So
I still listen to jazz. Like I come downstairs on Saturday mornings, I turn on Amazon Music and I listen to jazz, but I usually listen to the albums my parents listen to,
the older ones,
because right. All of the new smooth jazz is different.
is it Guinness in there?
No, I agree because I'm the same way. And we were wrong. There's a lot of more recent smooth jazz, contemporary jazz that I like, but the old school stuff I grew up on, that brings me back to memories, of being a little kid at my dad's house and him dancing or him singing or us having some sort of activity going on, like a cookout or something like that. And the jazz is playing and my uncles and aunts all around. That's a whole different vibe I get when I think about jazz or funk or even gospel from back in that era. Listen to all that growing up, like you said, in your house, you listen to what your parents played. Right. Options were limited then. No streaming, no multiple stuff. Some cities they even have a black station. So, you were limited to what you could do. But with streaming and stuff like that, the exposure of hip hop has blossomed worldwide.
All right. So, I mean, hip hop is all around us too.
Oh yeah, you see it on commercials.
I'm saying it's everywhere.
You go to a basketball game during the timeouts, they're playing it.
Mm-hmm. So
it's everywhere.
What genre would have taken off in the 70s if hip hop wasn't created? And let's think about this, right? Because the first party was when? The first party is
August 11th, 1973.
August 11th, 1973. But they weren't playing hip hop. They were playing records like disco and
funk was being played.
Like Grandmaster Flash said, I was looking for
song where usually the drummer gets a little 15-second solo and that's it. So then what Flash did, he wanted to make that longer.
So rhythm and blues as a combination of jazz and bluegrass, they kind of came off of that where they took the music and altered it a little bit because back then you had a lot of string going on, a lot of bluegrass and things like that going on. There's a lot of guitar and things like that too. But to keep that soft appeal where we were more emotionally attached to it, the rhythm and blues became a little bit slower and this blues slowed down a little bit and you would sing and you would hum and all kinds of things in your song to get everybody to feel what your story is in your song. That's where it kind of developed into. And it was great. Don't get me wrong, it was great. I love listening to that, watching movies and they play that stuff back again. All that's great. Mm-hmm. But hip hop itself became its own culture because of who it reached initially, who it was meant for and where it came from. That's where the influence came from.
I don't think, I mean, where would we be? I don't know. I understand your question. Where would we be? But it's like
Not even where would you be?
Yeah, we
Who-
be here.
Who do you think you would be? Like, how has hip hop influenced you as a person?
it's influenced me.
So okay, let me give an example. So for me, growing up the way I did, my dad was very corporate. So what he listened to, I listened to. He used to sit there and say, "Rap this is that music."
Right.
You know what I mean? So he didn't relate to it at first because he didn't understand it. He didn't understand the poetry behind it. He didn't understand the stories they were telling. He didn't hear any of that. He just heard the rhyming and the voice that wasn't singing, and that's all he heard. He couldn't relate to it at first.
Yeah,
Grew into
they're
it,
just
like,
talking.
right, and he didn't understand that. Like, why are you
They're
talking?
not
record?
singing.
He never
They're
related
talking.
to it though. I mean, did he like hip hop?
So as time went on, there were certain songs he liked. I can't say any particular group, but there were certain songs he listened to on the radio and got in the car. He turned up a little bit sometimes. Sometimes I catch him humming the tunes of certain songs, but I can't say that he loved any one particular thing. It's just that he started to understand the music, and maybe he only liked the music part of it. I don't know. I never really asked him that question.
We went
My
through
father never accepted.
never because he just liked jazz, right?
Unless it was secretly.
Right. He liked
Outwardly,
jazz.
he never accepted. My mom
Right.
did.
She liked hip hop.
My mom did, yes. She now she ain't going to no concert or nothing. She ain't turning on that station, but
Right.
sometimes she would watch stuff, the videos. Cause she would even tape them for Alicia and Ashley when they were little.
Because she knew they loved it.
Mm-hmm. But then she got into it.
That's mine.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
This one. All right. I don't know. Where would you be, Rich?
As far as
Where would you be if hip hop was not in your life?
well, growing up in DC,
Go
we had a little mixture of hip hop and go
Right.
and jazz too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think hip hop, go kept us grounded, but hip hop put us on.
Mind y'all, we talking to somebody who's off the
On stage
camera.
crew.
He's off the camera.
You can't hear him talking.
He was
He's the unhired help.
no, we can hear you.
No, when you started talking about, he's explaining something. Go ahead, finish what you're saying about the hip hop influence your go-go.
Hip hop took us in DC to experience a national level.
Mm-hmm.
So, we have our homegrown underground music, but if we go out of state to another area, we can still hear hip hop there. You won't hear go-go there. We we're still grounded in that hip hop. So it just kind of took us around the world a bit.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying too. It became a focus of just one city and one way of life in the beginning, but other cities could relate to it,
Yes,
and it grew fast.
correct.
It grew faster than COVID. You know what I mean? It just took off because people were like, "Whoa, wow! Not only is this cool, not only is the bass cool, not only is it sounds cool, but the lyrics are telling a story."
You said
And I got something.
Yeah, that's what he said.
And but you can relate because something in the story either you didn't know and you were like, "What? That's how you live," or "Yo, I got the same problem in my city."
Yeah, because
So-
hip hop is all about talking about what you see, your experiences.
What you see is what you get.
Yeah.
But see that I was just saying oldies. But what is this? Okay, we say oldies, but it's not oldies. That's what R&B.
Oldies oldies is a time frame.
Right.
It's not its own selection of music.
Right.
Because as you grow older, what we grew up with are considered oldies. It's old school. So what we were listening to when we grew up, it was on the radio. And
Oldies and old school is not a genre.
no, it's a time
It's an
period.
era.
So yeah,
It's an era.
yes.
All right. But that was what? R&B,
No, oldies.
funk, soul. So okay. Hey, have we done that yet?
So
have we
hold on.
classified the genres?
So let me answer your question first,
All right.
because you're asking questions, not leaving room for answer. So oldies,
Shots fired.
oldies are in every genre of music. They have them. We have just listened to the ones that are more popular to what we listen to, so we don't recognize punk rock or hard rock as oldies, but they still are. They call it classic rock, and it grows in time too. So classic rock used to be in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, you're not talking into
Now
the
goes into the 90s for them. So that's considered to be classic rock. They don't use the term oldies, but that's the same thing.
Right.
So every genre has its own period of oldies, classic, whatever like that. So it's not catered to any one genre. It's just describing music from a certain time period backwards.
But again, the genres, the actual genres. What are the genres? You got rock and roll.
It all depends on you ask. You ask the Grammys versus BET Awards, it's different answers.
There's rock and roll. There's country. There's
So you have hip hop, but you could break everything down. So you have house, you have the what's it called, the electric, whatever they call it,
underground,
electronica. You have all those different genres. If you want to break them all down, there's been new genres that come out in our lifetime.
Subgenres, really.
They are subgenres, but
they're sub.
But if you look at what the awards do, they give them an award for that category. So you have to categorize them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. So we may not necessarily see maybe 4 basic or whatever we want to call it, but that doesn't mean that there's not actually 10 or 12. Just like back in the day when everybody was, not everybody, but there was that grunge music going on, doesn't exist anymore, but it existed for a while.
What was that?
It was, I don't remember the groups, but I listened to it like that.
Grunge?
Yes.
Grunge?
E.
Grunge.
Yes.
You got some?
No, I take a shower. What do you mean? Do I got some grunge? What kind of question is that?
You just said.
You got some on your playlist?
No, I said I never listened to it.
You never listened to it?
No,
I ain't listening to that shit either.
Do you know somebody who did?
Yeah, most of them were of the lighter complexion, but yes.
Oh, you mean white people?
I try to stay PC. He goes ahead, just tears it apart.
You trying to stay PC?
I was.
That's politically correct.
Yes.
It got real, this motherfucker.
Yeah, I know. The fair-skinned people.
Okay. You can say white.
I could, but I want to say more politically correct. Can't say midget. Can't say little people.
You just said midget.
I'm just saying you can't say it anymore.
You said it.
I did. A lot of things my mama told me not to say it. I do say.
Why you got your back to the camera?
Because he's faced us to talk.
Hey.
All right. I don't think we could survive without hip hop.
Why is that? All right. So I still would have went to school. I still would have ate. I still would have got a job.
But you survived. You said you couldn't survive.
And I still would have retired.
I'm like okay.
Because I haven't made any money off of hip hop.
Right. So I could have survived without hip hop. Absolutely. But I don't understand why you're saying you couldn't.
Like, where would the world be? Was that?
That's part of the original question. Yes.
That was part of the original question. Huh.
Yeah, that's hard to say, man. It would have took a turn somewhere.
So personally, with what you're saying, because it took a turn, I think that after a while, it integrated different types of people together. I'm not just talking about black and white. I'm talking about economically and socially different groups of people were able to relate to something.
Yes.
And because of that, the expansion was wild because they could relate to it. Now, the early on days when it was, like white lines, talking about that kind of stuff, people really didn't know what was being said all the time in rap because rap was someone's version of poetry put to a beat and their stories being told. Right. Everybody could relate to that because some people didn't even like poetry back then.
Right.
We classify all that as hip hop. And I guess that is, but it wasn't hip. What was it? Grandmaster Cass who said that, the word hip hop was created by
It was a cowboy. Somebody was going to the service,
right?
And they would do a party for him.
More like a chant.
Yeah.
I forget the podcast that was on it.
I think it was on Drink Champs.
No. Yeah, that was when he explained it. That was when Grandmaster Cass explained it.
Right.
But what was it called prior to hip hop?
Rap.
Rap.
Rap?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they were just rapping.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
rapping to a beat.
Yeah.
So I guess if hip hop was not created, then we would still be rapping
Well,
Mm.
there.
because
Mm.
rap was like the jazz artist,
Scatting, yeah, it made scat.
scatting. So there would be some form.
It's really it's really the same thing. It's just a change of the name, because sometimes you'll see rap. If you look up try and look on Sirius or not Sirius, Spotify or something, you'll see rap / hip hop. Same thing. It just kind of evolved into that name because of what Kaz explained, but it's basically the same thing.
I think the difference.
So we would be doing some form of like rap, scat, jazz,
Well, there's
funk, soul.
there's two
disco.
separations we got to identify. Scatting was not actually words,
Right.
Right.
so there was that difference.
Yeah.
And then secondly, rap was just rap, had not yet become a culture and a way of life. Yes, we saw the rap artists out there. Good gracious. Rap artists out there, we saw how they dressed and what they drove, and we just looked at that, idolized it, we copied it. But that's what took off into hip hop because the culture that came with it. So when you look at those two things, there's a separation. That rap was just a music, and as we started to embrace it and emulate it, it turned into hip hop.
Yeah, okay. I get you. I mean, I get what you're saying.
So if that night never happened,
If August 11th,
no, not August 11th, the chant, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop,
right?
it may never have been called hip hop,
True.
and it still would have been the same thing. People are still coming, and it would have been rap.
You rap.
And we talk about rapping culture, so there's hip hop culture.
Because what are the hip hop artists doing? They're rapping.
They're rapping. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they're rapping.
Yep. So you had groups before that, like, Funky 4, Treacherous 3, Spoonie G, all of them. They were rapping. But if they were doing that now, hip hop, play some hip hop. We'll play shit from the 70s, the late 70s, the early 80s.
Right. I get you. Here. The war chant.
Mm-hmm.
It was a chant.
Right.
But I think we'd be big in disco. We'd be big in.
What's disco now?
It's an era that's pretty much over. They don't.
No, I'm saying now. What's disco music now?
Oldies.
No, hip hop.
Nah, I don't agree.
That was an era.
So the Bee Gees was hip hop.
You could classify, the people who were doing like all the like somebody said the Migos. The Migos was the disco era of hip hop.
Really? I never heard
That
that.
doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense to me.
Like, okay, so the disco era, they were dressing with butterfly collars,
right,
and the loud suits, and all of that. So the Migos was one of the first groups to come out where they was their whole persona was like that, and then they had a different
Okay, so let's clarify, because you're not saying it right. So they weren't the first group to come out. They emulated what happened in the 70s and used that in their time frame to give a certain style. So they weren't the first. The people in the 70s were the first.
Okay, right.
So the Migos were not the first.
No, he's saying the first rap group.
Right, but I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. Let's get clarity, because he didn't keep saying the first group that came out. So the first rap group that came out. That doesn't make disco a part of rap. Just because one person tried to go that route. That doesn't mean it was an era inside of hip hop or anything.
No, he said, what's disco now?
Yes. Right. Disco now is a form of music that's no longer being made.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
When I say now, like what music is out that is considered disco?
Oldies.
That's out now.
Oh, that's out.
That's
Okay.
being made now. Because
I
he
can't think of
said
anything.
without rap, we would have absorbed disco. But that wouldn't be alive today. Or do you think because we would have absorbed it, it would have kept going?
Right. Yeah. We would have absorbed it and we would have kept going. Same thing for rock and roll. Same thing for country. Same thing for all of these other things would have become more popular.
Mm-hmm.
And then the more popular they would have become,
The more part of our lives it would have become.
Right. So whether it was
So would you say the same thing about funk?
yeah, funk and soul.
But funk kind of got replaced by disco, kind of.
Right, because it was like a phase that kind of like went out. People started creating different music.
And that's what I'm saying about hip hop. Hip hop wasn't like those short-lived genres. They've actually been 50 years and going strong. It's actually arguably the most listened to style of music in America.
Okay, so is hip hop the longest running genre?
No way.
No way. Not at all.
No?
50 years? No, it's a baby.
R&B.
R&B and country.
Jazz.
And jazz is before R&B, so country as well, because we do country, but country existed way back when. Way back when. I'm talking like 1817s. We just didn't have a name for it as we call it today, but that was there.
It's just that it's what we grew up on. You know what I mean?
That's what we grew up on.
That's what we grew up on.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, hip hop's still a baby compared to those.
Right.
So OJ's and Isley Brothers, that was not considered R&B when they were when they were young. That wasn't considered
young
R&B.
people or young as a group. When they were kids, or they were just young starting out as groups.
Yeah, starting out as groups. That was not considered R&B back then. What was it?
What was it considered?
I dare say, what would you classify it as?
It was rhythm and blues.
Which
rhythm,
is R&B.
Huh?
That's R&B.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. They were calling it rhythm and blues.
They call it rhythm blues and R&B. It was both. They call it soul as well as rhythm and blues / soul. That's how you see it in the back of the Jet magazines and everything else. Rhythm and blues / soul. That was how they classified it. It was always called R&B, rhythm and blues, and soul was slashed with it depending upon how funky your music was or was not. That separated soul from R&B.
My bad. How
Funky.
How funky
So,
it was.
yeah,
Right.
so but yeah, the rap game has changed the same way that most of those
I'm sorry, 6.
most of the music we hear today are still going to have separation because you have classic country and contemporary country. Same thing with rock and roll. So we could have had a classic disco and a contemporary disco. We don't call it classic R&B because we call it old school, old as R&B, whatever. But there's a separation of time where the music evolves and changes, the sound changes, and that's when you separate the new from the old, and that becomes oldies at some point.
This is how you separate the old from the new from and we I know I do. We incorporate hip hop into everything we do, like our everyday.
Yeah, we do.
Huh?
We do.
No, I think a lot of people.
A lot of
do.
people. Yeah,
I think a lot of people
millions.
do.
Sure.
And they do it haphazardly. Like they do it and they don't even realize what they're doing.
Because hip hop's culture has I won't say infiltrated, but it's influenced so much that it's impacted so much now that it is something that you're going to run into every day. Because again, like Roland Reese said, you go to a basketball game, they're playing hip hop music during the halftime. They're playing hip hop during commercial breaks. You know, when you go to the Super Bowl, a lot of artists who get up there are R&B. You know, Snoop and Dre just did their drawing. You know what I mean? So it's incorporated into our lives enough that they recognize the impact it has and a number of viewers on certain things that are going to be watching the stuff where this should be the best thing to play.
Rihanna did the last halftime Super Bowl
Correct.
halftime show. She's pop. She's
They
classified,
classify her as pop. Yeah, I don't agree, but they classify her as pop.
but she's hip hop.
I won't. She's a part of hip hop.
She's
Yeah,
a part of hip hop.
Her music is not.
Right.
Her music is not hip hop.
I would. Yeah, I can't.
It's like James Brown.
Right.
His music,
soul.
Soul, Dynamite
right?
Soul.
When he came out with that music,
Mhm.
it was not hip hop. But so many hip hop artists
Have
and
samples.
sampled and incorporated his music into theirs.
Right.
So now James Brown is hip hop.
Okay, like Little Richard was considered to be rock and roll.
Right.
He said he created rock and roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on how you look at it, but yeah, but Jackie Stewart, he to me is more rhythm and blues, but some people put him under the same thing as soul. But I think he's more rhythm and blues. Like, okay, for instance, Jackson 5, you consider him soul or R&B?
Pop. They were pop.
Well, pop actually didn't I think had a title back when they started, but okay.
They weren't singing rhythm and blues. Okay, so rhythm and blues. Okay. I mean, when you think about the Jackson 5 and when they came out, rhythm and blues is okay. When we think of rhythm and blues, don't you think of slower music?
Not necessarily,
No.
but I can see why some people would, but I don't necessarily think of it only as slow.
Slower as opposed to something else, or just slow?
Slow,
Period.
meaning like the BPMs.
No.
Slower.
So
What do you consider? And here's another one that you'll probably say she's hip hop, but Mary J. Blige.
She's hip hop.
She's hip hop, but what's most of her music?
rhythm and blues.
Right.
But she was
She was introduced as hip hop,
yeah, the
but her
queen-
music is rhythm and blues.
queen of hip hop because she was rapping off all the break beats. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, she was singing off of all the break beats.
And she got a bunch of songs with hip hop cats.
right.
So because of who she was associated with as her founding status, that put her in a group of hip hop from the door. Just like what's her name? Keisha Cole was almost classified as hip hop too, but she made sure to stay on the R&B path because she didn't want to be in that category. Nicki Minaj actually wanted to sing more than she wanted to rap.
She's pop. Nicki Minaj is hip hop, but she's crossed over into that. Although, I guess she's a double genre. She's both, right?
Okay, you say the same thing about Beyonce. She's pop,
Yes.
but some people sit there and say she's also R&B.
Okay.
Because so we have to remember that just because the pop crowd plays their songs and accepts them doesn't mean that person is a pop artist. If we are playing songs that are great for us, say for instance like Luther Vandross, Never Enough or Bad Boy, that's R&B. But white people listen to it too and they play it on the radio. They didn't play much of his slow songs, but more of his upbeat songs got some attention on the white stations. That didn't make him a pop star though. It just made him richer.
So you wouldn't consider Luther Vandross a pop star?
No.
No. How about Prince?
Prince was a pop star. He was a funk and pop star to me.
But not Luther Vandross?
No.
What about Aretha Franklin?
She was soul.
That's definitely soul.
The queen of soul.
Mm-hmm.
Like Marvin Gaye. You call him pop?
No, he's not pop. What is he?
So he's not pop.
He's not pop.
Okay. Then why'd you say Luther Vandross is?
I guess because of the hits.
Again, he made them with his R&B flavor, his R&B style with R&B producers. Just because it got played on the white stations where pop is popular does not make his music pop.
And if I'm not mistaken, all of his songs are remix, right? He didn't do any of those songs. I don't think any of his songs are original songs.
A couple of them are. The one he did with Gregory Hines was.
Okay.
And then there was something else.
You mean his entire catalog?
Yeah.
A lot of his catalog is redone music.
Yeah.
The songs he redid.
Oh.
A lot of them. Not all, but a lot.
Mhm. I thought I heard that somewhere.
And I would say the majority, maybe not vast majority, but majority were songs that were sung by the people that he just did different or better.
Right.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Never knew that. Where'd you hear that?
I don't remember.
A long time ago.
But I heard
he
it
was,
a long time
he was,
ago.
yeah, it might be right where he died or somewhere before after that, but it's been a while. Years.
Yeah, that kind of covers it, right? Before or after he died.
Yeah. Yeah. Somewhere around his death is when I remember hearing that.
He said it before.
Is
or
it-
after he died.
That covers it. You're right.
Facts.
You're right.
Facts.
I bet you're right on that.
Facts. So yeah, same thing with hip hop. You have people like Lil Mo. She sang,
Question.
but she sang with hip hop artists. So she was a hip hop artist, but her singing maybe could have been standing alone. She might have been R&B.
What about Michelle X?
She's a good split down the middle for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was soul and rhythm and blues to her songs, but it was all based off of beats that were hip hop beats or production.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a good one. I'd say she's kind of split for me. She's one I would have to think about. But she wasn't pop.
Guess we need more clarification of all these genres.
Right.
So let me ask you a question
What
real
is
quick.
pop?
I was gonna say the same thing.
Does that come from popular?
Yes,
or-
popular music.
Okay.
That's
So
what it
that
stands
could be
It's
that's
popular.
why you can roll into
for. Exactly. Roll out.
pop set. So I don't really think that's a specific genre.
Pop.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's whatever is the most listened, the most popular music at that time falls in the pop category. So if I'm playing
Like
on
if
R&B,
you crossed over to all audiences, like what about Wu-Tang? Is Wu-Tang pop? Because if you go to a Wu-Tang
there's
concert,
a whole lot of non dark skinned people there.
it's a lot of white people there. A
whole
lot of
lot.
white
And
people.
we saw that just, what was that?
Last year,
Yeah,
What month
last year.
was that? September?
last September.
For the,
And when they do stadiums,
right,
it might be 80-20.
right.
And again, just because of that doesn't make them a
But-
pop person, a pop group.
Right.
But the ethnicity for, even though hip hop was created by the black community, but the ethnicity that consumes hip hop right now is predominantly white.
Mm-hmm.
I would say so, yeah.
Yes.
I think that's facts.
Yes.
Yeah. But so again, are you saying that now hip hop's got to be pop because there's more white than black influenced by it?
No, that was his question.
So I'm saying, so what's your answer?
Well, for Wu-Tang is hip hop.
Not just Wu-Tang, just from what you said, because white people as a whole are listening to it or influenced by it, spending money, whatever it is, more than black people. Does that now make it a pop situation because it's white people who are spending more money than us?
No, it's still the hip hop culture.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So because Luther was played on a pop chart doesn't make him pop.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to make you understand.
If pop means popular, that could be anybody. That could be any genre that's crossed over to more than one audience.
So I looked this up a while ago. Popular music was considered to be the most listened to or most requested music in America.
Right.
That's what it was. There was no genre for it at all.
Mhm.
That's
It's
why
crossover.
That's why country or whatever can make it.
Yeah, that's what they say.
So yeah. So when you say pop, there are people out there such as Taylor Swift who stays in the pop category because she is ruling the charts right now. So she would be a pop artist because she's never done anything R&B. She has done some country stuff, but she pretty much sticks in that one category of pop.
All right.
Luther has a couple of songs that hit the pop charts. Doesn't make him that. Doesn't make anybody that. I mean, if that's the case, then so okay. CeeLo, what do you look at him as now? as a solo artist, what do you think he is?
Crossover. He crossed over. He started.
But as a solo artist, he did that. When he was the group, he wasn't. He didn't cross over as a group. He got solos when he became
Yes.
a pop artist.
Right.
So CeeLo, he's not always been, to me, early on, he wasn't. He was hip hop, but then he switched over, became into the status of pop.
Right. He switched to pop. So we don't classify him as an R&B artist, right?
No, well,
Yeah, I gotta say, yeah.
I'm thinking I might say yeah,
We do classify him as an R&B artist,
because
just like you said with Prince. I mean, I don't think pop is a genre.
right?
You know, it's just that
right. I mean,
you've achieved that status
Michael Jackson
in your lane.
You talked about the Jackson 5,
Mhm.
but then Michael Jackson, when he went solo,
He was loved by everybody,
right? He was R&B and popularized, and he said, "Okay, I get this. I can make a lot of money here." He recognized it and did the killing. He gave them the sound that they wanted. He
Right.
did what they wanted to do. But the black people never left him. You know, what's that song, Black or White? It ain't something that you know, you know, all that kind of stuff. Dirty Diana.
Do it again.
That's not going to be on R&B stations
Do it
as
again.
much as it's going to be popular.
Do it again.
So, again, you got to look at. Sometimes it's based on the time frame. The music they were making during a certain time frame can qualify them to be in one or two different categories. So, you know, same thing. Mary J, they said, started out with puffy hip hop, dancing, you know, all kind of stuff, the whole nine. So she kind of got to become a crooner and came into the
who?
A crooner. Came into the rhythm and blues.
I don't know what that is.
Someone who is a
like Bing Crosby.
Yeah, they sing the slow songs, and you know, you just like Luther was a crooner. Barry White was a crooner.
Who?
Barry White.
Oh, Barry White.
They were all crooners. They were
Explain it again. Was a crooner?
Okay.
To make the women,
yeah, they would sing songs usually
like
slow.
Frankie.
Yeah, he was a crooner, one of the original ones. But there are people who sing these slow songs with these certain types of voices that the women especially croon over.
Trooner.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
A singer. How can I say? You know what? I got on sunglasses.
Oh, this is a singer?
Huh?
no, he's not finished.
Oh,
A singer, typically a male one,
Right.
who sings sentimental songs in a soft, low voice.
right. That's what I'm saying. They sing these
That
slow
make the
songs.
women go, tell me more about my eyes.
So Barry White,
crooner.
crooner.
One of the best.
Okay.
Teddy,
Luther, all crooners.
Fred Sanford.
How
could I be sure?
Crooners.
You know what? And I'll go and say Joe.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say Joe's a crooner.
Not Fat Joe.
Yeah, not Joe. Should be told. Yeah, these certain people with certain voices are crooners. There's a certain voice and a certain style.
Okay. To speak or sing softly. To speak or sing softly. Okay.
Yeah, so you get Boys and Men and the
Turn out the lights.
Oh, it's like so.
Mike from Boys and Men, he was a crooner.
Okay.
He was getting there.
How's that cigar, man?
Oh, it's pretty decent. You know,
What is it?
It's Oscar Vallardes. It's a Superfly. Part of my Father's Day gifts.
Yeah, I got one too. That's why
Yeah.
I spark that up tonight.
It's
about
decent.
How we on time, fellas?
Past.
Yeah, I think it's about time for us to
Be on time.
no, I was gonna say wrap up, not be on time.
6:20.
Is it
I told you to hit 47. We just wind it down.
47?
Mhm.
That's at 50.
I know.
That's why he said we passed.
Oh, fast. Half past my ass.
Yo, pause.
Oh man, Y'all see what I got to deal with.
You know, see what I got to deal with it.
Asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, once again, we're in Ocho, Rios. We're coming to
Jamaica.
you from
Yeah, man.
a villa. This is a pretty nice villa. You think they like hip hop?
Who? The staff?
No,
The owners?
the people who created this villa.
I don't know who created it, so I can't answer that.
Yeah, they could.
It's a possibility, but I don't
Their
know.
kids probably do.
Their kids. So maybe not the parents, but the kids.
Mhm.
They're into hip hop.
Probably.
Is it safe to say that the most of the world is into hip hop?
I would say hip hop has touched most of the world, but I cannot say that most of the world is into hip hop.
No.
That's a difference. Yeah, because even though hip hop may be like say in Australia, it doesn't mean that because it's down there.
But it's all
it's
around
the most
us.
popular
It's
sound
on
down
the
there.
TV. It's on the radio. It's everywhere you go. There's hip hop, some way, shape, or form.
But not to the extent in America. When I was in Italy,
Like this,
I didn't see much hip hop in the commercials and stuff like that. But there were a couple of stores.
we went to Nashville, which is supposed to be country
which
music.
is once again in the U.S.
But I'm just saying, it's all around us.
Yeah, but you said the world, so I'm trying to name places outside the U.S. to give you some balance on your thought.
Okay.
Because if you're saying all the countries in the United States, then we have to change your statement to U.S.
He just went to
Yep.
Colombia,
Mhm.
and it was people on the street rapping Tupac
Sure.
And Meek Mill.
and Meek Mill.
So
yeah,
like I
that was the
said,
other
there's
one.
definitely influence, but just because you hear it doesn't mean majority of that company of that country is necessarily into hip hop. Again, you're going your subculture of the day's youth that Eric might have heard, or like I said, when I was in Italy, I didn't see any commercials about hip hop. I didn't see anything about it. We were walking around through Venice, didn't really see much of hip hop. I saw one store that really had a hip hop influence, and that was a sneaker store. But it was you had the posters up and things like that.
Why'd you say it like that?
What?
It was like a sneaker store.
I'm just letting you know that it was a sneaker store. It wasn't a music store or anything like that. It was a sneaker store.
You heard that, right?
Mhm.
That is the influence I saw. Other than that, the whole time, no. So again, that's just where I was. It doesn't mean another place like Rome or somewhere else that is heavier influence.
Gotcha.
So
It touches everywhere.
it touches, but I can't
and
say,
there's fans everywhere.
right. That's what I'm
fans
saying.
everywhere.
I can say it's reached everywhere, but I can't say
It's the most popular. It's the no, I didn't say most popular. What did I say?
Everybody's into hip hop.
Everybody's in it.
yeah. So I can't say
So there's people everywhere into hip
into
hop.
hip hop.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
yes.
All right.
And it still may be the number one genre worldwide to listen to, but still that can mean 25% of the world is into hip hop because there's so many other genres each other 75%. No one can get to 25% because of that.
Mhm.
But again, that's only still 25% of the world. So it's not like everybody in the world.
Yo, you're glowing.
Thank you.
Like you're brown. Like,
Thank you.
Huh?
Thank you. My pecan tan?
okay, is that what you call it?
I don't know.
All right, it's time to wrap up.
Yeah.
I'll go with pecan tan.
All right, pecan tan.
Damn.
Oh, you ate Fruit Loops.
No, we weren't allowed to.
Hey, live from Ocho Rios,
Jamaica.
Jamaica. We are
The grandpops of hip hop.
Yep, we are the Grandpops of hip hop.
Grum Pops. There you go with Grum Pops.
And we'll come to you live from the States.
Now we might do another one.
Shoot.
We might do another one.
You'll see it soon. Maybe here, maybe there, but we'll be back soon.
Yeah.
Maybe Friday. Maybe Friday we'll do that.
Friday.
Yes, sir.
Peace.